What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm your host, Daniel J. A little bit of breaking news occurred last night from News Nation, Ashley Bangfield, who stated that Kohberger was fired from as a WSU teaching assistant after repeated warnings to mend sexist attitude and bad behavior. We're going to be going into what it was that he was doing, the process between him getting fired, the warnings, things of that nature that were put out. We're going to look at who his professor was and all that information. So don't go anywhere. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Ring that notification bell, y'all. That way you get notified of all of our segments and our lives. Tonight we have Murder Sheet podcast on the show. They will be we'll be covering the Delphi case, and so you don't want to miss it. Ring that notification bell. We also get a lot of questions as to how can we, how can y'all help, contribute to the show, help support the show, and the like and the subscribe button are the easiest ways. If you want to help out further, there's a super chat button that's down there as well. We also take Cash App, which is down below. Cash App sign Drunk Turkey Show. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get into the content. So Ashley Banfield reported last night that Bryan Kohberger was fired prior to his arrest, his involvement in the quadruple homicide there in Moscow, Idaho, for sexist attitude and bad behavior, and that he was warned a couple of different times. There is an article that's already out by meaww.com. Meow, I guess is possibly what it's pronounced. I'm not sure. So this story states Pullman, Washington, Bryan Kohberger, the suspect, arrested for the incident in Moscow, Idaho, towards the 4 university students, was reportedly fired from his position as a teaching assistant at Washington State University due to his sexist attitude, and he refused to mend despite several warnings. So why was Kohberger released? At the time of the incident, Kohberger was a PhD criminology student and teaching assistant at Washington State University at the university's Pullman campus, which is about a 15-minute drive from Moscow, Idaho, but now has been revealed that he is allegedly fired from his position days before his arrest. As per a report by News Nation, Kohberger was officially terminated on December 19th because of his problematic behavior. According to the report, which cited his termination letter, he was warned time and time again to cut off his bad behavior, and even an investigation was conducted by the university. In his termination letters, officials allegedly note that Kohberger had a sexist attitude towards the females that he had interacted with at the school as a teaching assistant. He even graded female students differently than he graded men. Now, remember, there was a lot of folks came forward talking about how he used to grade very difficultly. A lot of students of Bryan Kohberger's, and then that after the incident, his grading changed. He was a little bit more relaxed. Everybody was getting A's, things of that nature. I wonder if, I feel that's a big clue as to who he was targeting and who he was giving those difficult grades towards. There was, I believe it was a male student that came forward saying that his grades were really, really difficult in that class and that he was a difficult TA, and that after the incident that his grading was a little bit more relaxed. I wonder if it seems like this guy is a vindictive guy. Perhaps maybe, his professor, which is Dr. Snyder, who he was teaching under, had a conversation with him referencing his way he was grading. And in some sort of vengeance or retrospect, he goes and decides to grade everybody very easy to very, very hard, which is another factor into like just the mind of Bryan Kohberger, how potentially vindictive he could be, just to show, the type of guy that he is. And so we'll continue. The investigation was conducted against Kohberger after September 23rd. That's a big date, y'all, because how long was he in Pullman, Washington, up to September 23rd? I mean, if he got there in July, and school started in August, that's like a month and a half, 6 weeks into his teaching assistant program, and he's already getting in trouble. That's huge right there. September 23rd. That's when the investigation was conducted. That means that stuff was happening before September 23rd. So immediately, once he got there, his behavior was a problem to the point where there was an investigation that was conducted on September 23rd. When he indulged in a verbal spat with a professor, he apparently received a number of emails from the university officials. Some reports have also claimed that he was withdrawn from the data system on December 22nd, just 3 days after his termination. However, Washington State University has yet to comment on this matter. So he had a spat on September 23rd with his professor, John Snyder. Now let's look at who John Snyder is. He is the Department of Criminal Justice Criminology, John Snyder, assistant professor, career track, Alpha Phi Sigma Criminal Justice Club advisor, and global director. So let's look at what he looks like real quick. This is John Snyder. This is the man that Bryan Kohberger is to have gotten into a verbal spat with on multiple occasions, which resulted in his termination at WSU as a teaching assistant. So let's go back real quick. Profile real quick. It says Professor Snyder came to WSU as an adjunct in the midst of his 30-year law practice. During his career, he defended nearly every type of criminal case from simple possession to first-degree M. As an instructor, he takes the events that lead those cases and flips them to drive student analysis. Now, look, so this is a guy who had, I wonder if he came forward with this information about, and I'm sure he did. You know, he came forward with the behavior, especially towards women, that Bryan Kohberger was administering, so to speak. You know, this guy has defended nearly every type of criminal case, including people who have taken lives of others. And so, with that being said, that tells me that maybe perhaps once this incident had happened, maybe this guy, having had, you know, altercation with Kohberger, working closely with Kohberger, seen his interactions with students, especially female students. I mean, you know, all those things combined, I feel that maybe perhaps he was maybe the informant that Kohberger defense team is referencing. Maybe somebody who has come forward stating, hey, you know, I saw this characteristics in this guy. I noticed this. I noticed this was the way he was acting when he was talking towards women, when he was how he was behaving towards women. This is my opinion that he could be potentially involved in this situation. Yeah, they go check out his car. They find out it's also a white Elantra. You know, it starts to get the ball rolling, right? Starts to get the ball rolling. Let's continue real quick. As an instructor, he takes the events that lead those cases and flips them to drive student analysis. What is important is not necessarily reaching the correct answer, but rather engaging and developing the critical thinking required to reach those conclusions. Professor Snyder particularly enjoys teaching the courses that covering the intersection of police work and the courts, particularly substantive criminal law and criminal procedure evidence, and the courts in America. And so that is his professor. That is who he had a couple of altercations with. Now, this is from News Nation. This is the alleged job termination timeline for Kohberger. September 23rd, altercation with Professor Snyder. October 3rd, meeting to discuss the professional behavior. October 21st, received an email about failure to meet expectations. November 2nd. So this is all leading up to the incident that happened on November 13th. Meeting to discuss the improvement plan. So they have a plan. They put a plan in place. A month later, they're meeting to discuss the improvement plan progress. This is probably something that was already in place, something saying, all right, this is our improvement plan. In 1 month, we're going to meet back. They worked out December 7th, and we're going to discuss how you've done in that improvement plan. Right. And so November 2nd to November 7th, you know, that is pretty, November 2nd, I'm sorry, is it's about a week and a half away from when the incident had occurred. And, it's around the time that his grades were changing as well. And so, like I said, he may have been distributing certain type of characteristics that were very visual, very early on. And for him to turn around and go from giving everybody F's to A's could be his way of, saying, well, you don't like the way I do it this way, then I'm going to give everybody grades. And that just kind of tells you the kind of person that he is. Very vindictive, and goes to an extreme extent, in my opinion, especially if you're going from F's to A's. It's moving. It's going full spectrum. He loses it and then goes from 0 to 100 very quickly. And so December 7th, meeting to discuss improvement plan progress. December 9th, so just 2 days after that report, there's a second altercation with Dr. Snyder. And then December 19th, he was officially terminated as a TA. All this within one semester. And this man has already gone through, been terminated, and like I said, the first date that pops into my head is September 23rd. The fact that he was already, having an altercation with a professor, already been reported on, prior to that incident. So this guy showed up and was a problem right away. Maybe perhaps things didn't roll his way. There was I think there's been rumors spreading around that he didn't get the intern position at WSU or at Pullman, Washington, that other candidates did get the intern position. The rumor also was that the candidates that beat him were female. Could that be another issue as to why perhaps it just seems like he really dislikes or is, very sexist behavior, things of that nature. Seems like he's one-sided when it comes to, women and men. And so, all these things kind of piled up. He's having problems as a TA. He's being investigated. Doesn't have any friends. He's a loner. Does he explode? Does he pop? And then that's what ends up happening. Everybody's trying to figure out the why, the motive, reason why behind this. All these little pieces that he's found. He's in a new place. Nobody wants to talk to him. Nobody's responding to him as far as females go. He starts getting in trouble at school and at work. He doesn't get the intern job. He loses out to women. In the dating realm. They don't respond back to him. You have Kaylee, who kind of resembles a girl that Bryan was friends with, that was on the show, named Bree. During the time that they were friends, Kaylee also resembles a girl who claimed to have gone on a Tinder date with him. That stated is the one who stated the birthing hips quote. She showed pictures of what she looked like at the time of when she was dating Bryan Kohberger. Is it possible that Bryan Kohberger has a type, was turned down, and was pushed over the edge in his mind and committed this heinous crime? I think we're starting to see the pieces kind of come together against Mr. Kohberger. And not only that, I think that this criminology professor, Dr. Snyder, I think he came forward. And not just came forward. I think he informed the police there that of his possible speculation, given his proximity or how close he was to Kohberger. I'm sure he saw some signs and some things that maybe alerted him to talk to the police. This could be that informant that the defense team is so eager to find out how they found Bryan Kohberger's name so quickly. Well, hit that like and subscribe button, y'all. This is all I got for you guys today. Ring that notification bell. Don't forget, tonight, Murder Sheet Podcast is going to be on the air with myself, Big Blue, and Jaime. Should be a good one, y'all. Ring that notification bell. You know what to do. With that being said, y'all, I'm out of here. Peace. See ya.